My name is Kelly Motley. I am 54 years old.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Herstory TV and the Herstory podcast. This is Gertrude Matcha here in beautiful Wellington, New Zealand. And today I am graced with the presence of an absolute dynamo coming to us all the way from the United States. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
Gertrude, I am so very grateful to be here with you today. My name is Kelly Motley. I am 54 years old. I live in Nashville, Tennessee, and I have recently written a book, and the book is titled The Fight for My Life, Boxing Through Chemo. And it's about how boxing became my remedy. It upheld me. It became my guide to make the right decisions. And it became something that I turned towards for a higher hope and higher power when I got my breast cancer diagnosis. When you are diagnosed with breast cancer or cancer, it's not going to be a comfortable road. And it's really important that your mind, your body, your spirit be sharp like a sword for the battle. And my book is really intended for people who have recently gotten a diagnosis, who are looking for hope, who might wake up at 3 a.m. and need to read something telling them that tomorrow is going to be okay. My book and each chapter in my book really details how the principles in the ring got me through a breast cancer diagnosis. My story, Gertrude, is really uncommon for a woman, middle-aged Southern American woman, PR professional, been married 25 years. I have 2 sons, and it started in a really uncommon place. And it started in a neighborhood where if some people might have stepped foot in this neighborhood, they might have talked about it as if they had come out of a miraculous experience alive. It was a neighborhood in the 80s and 90s where drug dealers set up shop on tops of hills and people rerouted around this neighborhood. And so this is where my story starts. It starts in a white concrete building that was formerly a factory, and it was converted into a boxing gym. And this is where I started to learn how to box, how to test my will and courage. And what's really amazing about everything is that the universe was really quietly giving me a gift of teaching me boxing, not with me really not knowing that I had this diagnosis. And so, once I was diagnosed with cancer, all the principles in my boxing, my coaches became my corner. I really didn't communicate out to the world or anyone outside of my corner that I had breast cancer. And so I really applied a lot of the strategies and principles that I learned inside the ring to help me with the diagnosis and to help me climb out of cancer.
Oh, wow. What a fascinating story, Kelly. What was it about your need to be physically active, at this particular moment in time? A lot of people will jump straight into fear. They're paralyzed. They can't move. For you, movement seems to have done something for you. Explain that to me.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I have always been an active person. When I was young, I was a dancer. But boxing, and I can talk to you a little bit about how I got into boxing. That might be helpful.
Yes.
I started boxing in the summer of 2017. And what led me to boxing, I felt stuck in my life. not even stumbling forward. I felt stuck. And I was going through some major issues with one of my clients. And it felt like every day was a bout. And I felt like I was in a match that outweighed me every single day. And I was getting incredible results from my client. And my calls with them, I would go from feeling shame to anger to fear. My house at the time, I live in a 1924 home in Nashville in a historic neighborhood. And it just felt like everything was breaking down in my home and we couldn't get anything fixed. There were a lot of things where I just felt stuck. I prayed, I meditated in the morning, and nothing seemed to make things work. My courage was shrinking. I come from a line of very strong, independent women who all worked. I grew up with a strong work ethic, and my business, I just felt stuck. And one day after work, and I'm sure a lot of other women have experienced this, just to pull me from the brink, I decided to go to a boxer size, very popular boxer size gym up the road. And that day, I saw my client's face on the bag and just threw really angry punches at a bag and thought I was going to be really good at this boxing thing, with not understanding that that's the last thing you want to be when you box. It's really about being calm and serene and opening, emptying your mind and being very relaxed in your breathing. And so this was my first experience with boxing. And then it led me down a path. And my son at the time my youngest son was 13, and we boxed together. And that led us to doing Jeet Kune Do, which is a Bruce Lee style fighting. And to get better with this Jeet Kune Do fighting with my son, which I held on to like my life depended on it. It was just a really wonderful thing for me to do with my son. I started boxing very seriously, and I started boxing with a trainer who was training himself to become the next world champion of Ghana. And his name is Senna Agbeko. And Senna and I trained together 3 mornings a week. And we had the Ghana flag above us on Mary Street, on a dead-end street in this neighborhood, which I've described to you. And he got me strong and really taught me the principles around boxing in a way that no one else had before. And he would say things to me, Kelly, imagine you have a tool belt strapped around your waist, and we've stocked it with all these tools that you're going to be able to use, and you're going to have options. And if it's empty, you won't have anything to reach for. And so when I got my cancer diagnosis, I was like, where is my tool belt? Where's my breath? Where are some of the basics that Senna had taught me? And I really didn't want this to be a wasted year of my life. I didn't want to die. I didn't want it to be a wasted year. I had fought so hard to be strong physically. And so at that point in time, I really decided to really study everything I had learned around my boxing. And I was going to take these principles and have minimal downtime from chemo. I was going to have quick recoveries from my surgeries. And so this is kind of how it all came about.
Wow. It's just incredible how you seem to have the spirit in you. This little spark that I don't think anything can really put out that spark. Where does that come from? Is it your background? Is it your faith? There's something in you, Kelly. And I mean, you and I have just met, but I can feel it. I can sense it. Where does that come from?
I was raised by women who worked hard and had that spark. And I think it just transferred over to me. One of the women that helped raise me, you were raised by your grandmother, I heard, right?
Yes.
Partially. So my great, not my grandmother, but my great grandmother, who was born in the 1800s, helped raise me. She had a beauty shop when she was in her 20s. And all these women had professional careers and they worked really hard. They wanted to do things right in the world. I think they had a lot of integrity. And so I don't know. I feel like it's probably just from a lot of the women and some of the DNA.
It's in your genes. It's in your genes. And now you get to pass that on to thousands of women around the world with this phenomenal story.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to go back to the younger you on that day when you got your diagnosis and have a conversation with that young woman, what 3 nuggets of wisdom would you give her based on what's happened, where you are now in your life?
A couple things. So one of my coaches is Royce Fentress, and he is a Division I strength coach. And he gets a lot of youth to Division I colleges and universities in America. One of the things that he talks about is it's all good. And to really think the good and the bad, it's all good. And I think about some of the horrific, most worst situations that I went through with my breast cancer. And I can tell you incredible, beautiful things that came out of it. So really, it's all good. Another principle is, and Royce communicated this to me, and it's around pity. And pity is energy, and it takes people in a really dark place. And so really, for me, one of the reasons I didn't communicate my breast cancer diagnosis is because I didn't want those pity eyes looking at me as I was going through it, because I really wanted to stay strong. And so to really think about pity as a person who's dealing with something very hard in your life and in how you communicate to other people, because it's really a transfer of energy. Yeah. And to really think about, and this is a great principle for life too, but who do you give your time to in your life? And who are you going to give your time to when you're in this major fight? And to really formulate and put together a corner of people who you think are going to be in your best interest. You don't always want to tell everybody what street your parade is on, and so really to be thoughtful about who you communicate it to, just knowing that this is going to be probably the biggest fight of your life, and to really think hard about who is in your corner.
Wow. Well, you certainly managed to do something that has never been done. I just absolutely love the fact that you're now putting that in a book so more people can read about the story, find inspiration from your story. What is the title of the book, and where can people get it?
Sure. So the title of my book, Gertrude, is The Fight for My Life, Boxing Through Chemo. People can purchase the book there's going to be a pre-sale in June, and it's will be published in August, and it's available on The Fight for My Life, www.thefightformylife.com.
Absolutely wonderful. You are inspiring, Kelly. I can't wait to finally meet you in person when you come to New Zealand for the filming of the Herstory pilot.
Yes, absolutely.
I can just so see you coming. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. So if you are a woman today who has been listening to this interview, you've been given a certain diagnosis. It could be cancer, it could be your heart, whatever that diagnosis is, it's just a story. And you get to decide, you get to create where you go with your life from this minute forward. Listen to Kelly's story, absolutely inspiring. She is a fighter. Please buy a copy of her book. And it could be that you've just been knocked back by life. It doesn't have to be a health challenge. Sometimes we read these stories to pick ourselves up, to see what another woman has done with her life, with her challenges. Thank you, Kelly, for putting this in a book and sharing it with the world.
Thank you, Gertrude.
I'll be back again tomorrow with yet another amazing story, everybody. Have a fantastic day wherever you are in the world. Bye for now.